All right, let's check out who is in here. Let's check out who has already signed in. Unajua mnakuwa mnasubiri hii. Wacha tuone nani yuko hapa na sisi so that we can officially begin. Let us mark the register like we always do. All righty. Tupo site. The first one today, Miriam Sarah. Karibu sana, karibu sana, karibu sana. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for tuning in. Vincent Lagat, Nikondani. Of course, Frida Kuria from Nakuru. Karibu sana. Mary Shiro Thika, tuko tuning. Karibu. Nasema tuko wapi. We're just marking the register. We see how many people we got. Then we begin. Okay. Riyadh tuko in. Karibu sana. Wasedonjo. Glenn Derricks. Karibu sana. John Kioka nasema ni hivyo. Karibu sana, karibu sana. Carlos Juma, Busia iko locked, tuko area. Jamlik Mungera, karibu sana. Miss K tuning from Paris, karibu sana. Aston Lupia Films, Yala is in the building, karibu sana. John Kioko Machakos in the building, karibu sana. Jamlik, nimekucheki hapo from Ruiru in the city. Purity Kawira Malindi is in the building. Welcome. Tell a brother to tell a brother, tell a sister that we are live. We are live. Kamundi MCA, you're wondering, Rada, yeah, tuko hapa maze. So you know Monday is Obinna show live, definitely. Felistas Mwene ndio kudonjo ndio kudunda, karibu sana. Karibu na wacheki. Wageni ndio sasa wanaingia. Simu nisaidie na glass tafadhali. Nisaidie na glass. I'll be having some water because the conversations we are about to have, it's about time. It's about time that we had them. Mr. Bowen, Padola from Baringo, karibu sana. Bettina Egwa Mwasi, ndio umefika, karibu sana. We are at 114 people. Let's get a number. Let's get a good number, then we begin. Mama County. So you can just bring another glass, eh? Just bring another glass here. Asante. Umeleta glasi yenye mtu alikuwa amepiga nayo kitu. Maji, Mama County. Unanipangiaje wewe? Umeleta glasi Magic Zenga alikuwa amepiga nayo magic. Magic water. Hello, yes. Kofiti. Ndio kufika zipi, we are 213. Yes, let's get the number. Let's get it to 1,000. Then we begin. Let's get to 1,000. Let's get 1,000, then we begin. Tune in Africa exclusive. Karibu sana. Tuko ndani Eldoret. Caroline Chepkorir, karibu sana. Ezekiel Munuve, Kibra iko ndani. Winfred Dhambi, karibu sana. Just put it down there. Just put the glass down here. It's okay. Nakatu hapa. Okay, bado tuko CBD I say. DJ Kelly nimekucheki, karibu sana. Nimedonja huku Kezia Wahu, asante sana. Ruth Mutuma, karibu sana. McQueen is in the building. I love you too. From Germany, Queen B, karibu sana. Kare Rachel, hapo ni sawa, karibu sana. Michael Otieno, Maseno is live. Watu wa County, thank you very much. We are 305 people. Keep the number going so we can begin. Naona mumeland. Night Nasnipo, that's Rosanna in the building, karibu sana. It's Fins, watu wa Meru, hamujambo, karibuni sana pia nyinyi. Sydney Kamau is here in the building, welcome. Valentine Zilani, right on time. Sharon Chepkorir, nasema umetafuta dictionary. Okay. Mombasa iko ndani, mpenzi William, karibu sana. Shikopesh, patiently waiting. Okay, Shikopesh, patiently aendikwi hivyo. Okay, that's not the spelling, unless that's not what you intended. Esther, karibu sana. Julian Karaoke, Welomwasi live, karibu sana. Welcome. Ronyo Tieno, how you doing? Utawala is locked in. Mike Marys, karibu sana. Newton Karani, karibuni sana. Godwin Sifuna, karibuni sana. Okay, tuanze? Yeah, I think we can start. Niandikie tu hapo, let's start. Niandikie let's begin ama let's start. Tuanze. Mnajua ni show yenu, ni kipindi yenu. Venye mnataka na mnaniambia alafu tunafanya. Niambie tuanze alafu tuanze. Mambo ichemuke tu sasa hivi. Niambie tu tuanze, mambo ichemuke sasa hivi. Today we've had a very interesting day. If you're just tuning in, we've had a very, very interesting day. We've hosted Mefi Muskela, that is Steve Simple Boy, with his Misamiati. We've hosted Wambo Ashley, talking about true love, what they're feeling with the husband. We've had Mbalamwezi insisting that he's still Gen Z. Vinny Baite is another crackhead. He was funny to the core, amazing gentleman. We've had Dogo Charlie, also amazing. We've had Magic Senga. We've had a very serious conversation. We've had Tony Young, Yambesha Shiakwa, and right now we're about to host another genius. He goes by the name of Steve Mbogo. He's in the building and we're just about to go live. So nangoja tu muniambie ni aje, tuende kazi. So this gentleman has been doing a couple of videos online. And anytime he speaks, I'm always like, wait a minute. I used to think I have receipts. He has receipts and he has the know-how. Walking encyclopedia. We're about to start perusing in a short while. We start? Yes. Thank you very much. Oh, ningoje ama tuanze? Simu decide. Naona start, ngoja. Tunangoja nani? I think we start. Watching from Dubai. Okay. Let's start. Twende kazi. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana for creating time to convene with us on Obinna Show Live. Thank you very much for buying your bundles and tuning in. Of course, asante sana. This is your show. What you want is what you do. Obinna Show Live, inspirational conversation, motivational conversation, and also sometimes intriguing conversations like the one we're about to have. We're about to talk about the country. Yeah, a lot is happening and there's a lot that we don't know. And sometimes you don't know that you don't know. So you guys and myself, class is in session. Nataka tujifunze pamoja. Because the gentleman that I've invited, like I just said, he speaks a lot of information that sometimes I thought I knew, but akisema niko like, wait a minute, kumbe sio hivi? We're about to, tunataka kudig deeper. So kaa chini na kamusi yako, kaa chini na kitabu yako. Nataka muone venye dunia inaenda na venye Kenya inaenda. Tunamkaribisha Mheshimiwa Steve Mbogo.
Thank you.
Karibu sana, G.
Thank you, brother.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, we are busy.
I just seen you traveling the world, man.
We have to.
Yeah.
We don't have an option.
Yeah.
There's nothing more exciting in Kenya, so we have to move out there.
Oh, wow.
And try, get some knowledge, get some resources, and bring them back home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So welcome back home.
Asante.
Welcome to Obinna Show Live.
Thank you.
You are a busy man. I've wanted to host you here for a while. So I used to have your number.
Yes.
I changed the phone, so I'm like, alafu DM unatuma haisomwi. Nimeshua DM imejaa. And I understood.
Yes.
But finally you're here.
Thank you.
Karibu.
Asante.
A lot is happening in the country. And before we even start the conversation, let me just test the waters. Are we going in the right direction as a country?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and
yes
no.
Yes and no. Do we have the right president as a country?
Yes and no.
Okay. Do we still have an opposition in this country?
Yes and no.
Okay. Tumeuzwa.
That one for sure, tumeuzwa.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mumeona?
Yes.
Imeenda. Tumeuzwa. Tumepata off guard.
Yeah, but we'll find ourselves out of that hole.
Okay. We can come out.
You know, the good thing with Kenya and Kenyans,
yes,
we are such blessed people that in any scenario we encounter as a country, there's a way we come out of it.
Okay.
And I'm sure at a way, there's a time you face some challenges in life and you feel you're at the dead end. Lakini you find yourself out of it.
Okay.
So I want to appreciate Kenyans. We've got that resilience.
Okay.
The only problem we had was simple civic education, or what you call political literacy.
Okay.
But it's checking in, brother.
Guys are waking up.
Yeah, guys are waking up.
Speaking of, let's just start with the Gen Z movement, man.
Yes.
That movement has changed a lot.
Yes.
From how things used to operate, from how people used to behave with power and people in power and everything. What's your take in the whole Gen Z narrative and the movement?
No, I think it's good for the country. You know, the first question you asked me if we are heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I said yes,
and
I said no. You see, change and development in a country begins with the literacy level of the people. Okay. And literacy is not basically education in terms of books and schools, but simple things like political, economical, and civic education. Okay. So the uprising or the coming up of this Gen Z movement is out of products of so many things. that many people don't understand. And I'd like to shed light on what brought about the thinking of the Gen Zs.
Okay.
You know, in life, Obinna, everything evolves.
True.
Everything evolves. From human beings to businesses to products to even music evolves. Everything evolves. And one thing the political class in this country had forgotten is that evolving is something that happens periodically, and it's something that no one can escape. It is inevitable. So the problem is we are just like machines. You know, every day when you sleep, or maybe in a day or two, your phone tells you need to update the software.
Yeah.
And if you don't update your software, the phone is prone to bugs and viruses. So that applies to human beings. Now, the biggest problem we have in this country is that especially the political class forgot to update their softwares. The Gen Zs we are talking about have a complete updated software in the sense that they can see, they can understand everything that is happening. And I'm sure you can see, even from the administration point of view, up to date,
Yeah.
they still clearly do not understand even what the Gen Zs are saying. They're still doing the opposite. It is not their wish, Obinna. It is the software that is expired. You know, for us to find a fundamental solution to our problems, honestly, we need to be asking ourselves simple questions. So let's talk about Gen Zs. Who are Gen Zs? If you look at the Gen Zs, a majority of them, in fact, this group of young boys and girls, our brothers and sisters, are the same group that managed to get what we call free primary education and secondary education from the Kibaki era. Education is defined as the mechanism of transmitting civilization. So out of 10 young kids, these Gen Zs, 9 to 9.5 are civilized, in the sense that there are things you cannot lie to him or her, because he's well versed. Even if they didn't go to university, at least they can communicate, they can hear, they can see. They are civilized. Number two, remember, these kids are born in a very, very good period of time. And this is the era of what we call the information era. So they have access to all information. Remember, when you and I were kids, the government will dictate what will be written in the newspapers, what will be said on radio, and what will be shown in TV.
Yeah.
But today, these kids live under what we call the third industrial revolution. And this is a revolution of internet of things and free information. So they are able to read and see. That's why when they are being lied to, they will tell the president, they'll tell anyone, you're lying. And they'll refer you back to the constitution. I'm so glad and happy to see that Gen Zs have made the larger group of the millennials and the X and the baby boomers now, at least they're starting to read. Because the Gen Zs, when you talk of the finance bill, they knew the finance bill page by page, my brother. And they have access to this information. Number three, if you look at their secondary studies, there is what you call literature or fasihi, where you start reading books. Now, I personally took time to even read the books they read in high school. If you read all the books that this age group read in school, they are all revolutionary books. And that is one thing people don't want to understand. You see, some of the books they read are books like Kifo Kisimani. There's one called Betrayal in the City. There's one called Mstahiki Mea. There's another one called Kigogo. There's another one, you know, all these books, they talk about bad governance, they talk about corruption, they talk about good governance, they talk about revolution, they talk about revolting. So these are kids who came out in a society understanding how governments should be run. And you cannot take that away from them.
Yeah.
And the last issue, if you look at these young people, you and I were very comfortable after school, to be very honest. When we left high school when Kibaki was president. And during Kibaki's time, Kibaki built the economy of this country, and no one can argue about it. Kibaki brought in a system where as long as you worked, you had money. All of us had money in the pockets. Even the person who was selling jugu on the highway had money, because people had money to spend. And we were comfortable. At least you'll buy yourself, you'll open up a business. Banks were coming to us to give us loans, you remember. Banks were coming to our businesses to ask us to open accounts and get loans. Kibaki had many programs to uplift the young people of the country. But look at this younger generation. Immediately they came out of school, they came and met a very wild environment, economically, politically, and socially. These are kids who've gone through the traumas of things like the COVID lockdowns. So they found a very wild environment. And that also helped in the resistance. So when you subject people through what you call political exploitation, social degradation, and economic oppression, the only option is resistance. So this is something that was bound to happen. And the worst thing is that I've told you, even the government as we speak today have still not updated the software. They still do not understand what these young people want. Yeah. These young people are not interested in having a dialogue. These young people are simply saying, do things in the right manner. You see, we are guided and led by our holy book in the country, and that is the constitution for the country.
Yeah.
So what these young people are just saying is follow the constitution. The things they're outlining, they're things that affect me and you. It's not just about them. And you know, I find it weird when the matured in the society think that Gen Zs are just fighting for themselves. No. You see, we live in a society where we were told our forefathers shed blood for us to enjoy this sovereignty, for us to enjoy this peace.
Yeah.
And I think our biggest goal in life, Obinna, should always be to leave Kenya better than we found it. Better than we found it. At any time, even when you were growing up, your parents used to tell you, you need to work hard and be better than me.
True, true.
And as a country, if we understand heritage of Kenya, we need to leave this country in a better position than them. And because these kids live in the third industrial revolution, they are clearly seeing that you guys are going to leave us in a mess. And that's why they are saying, hey, you need to wake up. So I don't understand why the government thinks maybe people want to overthrow him from power and stuff. It's not about personal. It's about facts. It's about facts. And it's high time the government has to wake up. Because speaking from experience, you know, we have examples in Africa. I'll give you an example. A country like Egypt, the revolution started just simply the same way our young brothers and sisters went to the streets. And Hosni Mubarak chose to shoot those kids. And it was the end of him. He was replaced by another one called Morsi. Morsi was even killed. And another person called Sisi, who was a general, took over power till today. When you talk of a country like Sudan, the same thing happened. This young generation started protesting about the cost of living. What did he do? He decided to bring out the military to fight them and killed a number of them. They put him out of power. Up to date, that country has not seen peace. So we don't want to go in that direction. Talk of other countries. Talk of countries like Yemen. Talk of countries like Syria. You know, similar things happened in those countries. And we don't want to go into that direction. Because if we go into the direction of civil war and destroying this country, it is us who are going to suffer more.
Okay. I saw what the president said,
yes.
The speech, the one for waliniambia wataki hivi, nikafanya hivi.
Yes.
Wakaniita huku, nikaenda huko, hawakuja huko.
Yes.
Wakanini wananiambia they are formless.
Yes.
What do you think of that part for the president trying to insist that the Gen Zs need to find a leader? Mm-hmm. And then also they need to play ball with what he's saying. Yes. What's your take on that?
That's why I say the only thing he needs to do is to update his software. Because it's still not tallying with what these kids are saying and what a majority of Kenyans are saying. Yeah. Kenyans are very clear and simple, even these young kids. They're saying, hey, Mr. President, we want you to combat corruption. Hey, Mr. President, we have some of our comrades who are killed. We want those people who killed our brothers and sisters put into account. Hey, Mr. President, we want you to take this country forward in a manner of you're protecting and building the sovereignty of this country. They are simple things. I just don't understand why they're not getting it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's not a matter of dialogue, Obinna. You see, when they say they are leaderless, they are formless, they are sending a message. It is that this is not a matter of self-interest. It is about us as a nation. And the nation is waking up, it's rising up towards one course, and that course is change. And I've told you, change is inevitable, completely. And everything evolves. And the political class should understand that even the political systems must evolve. I've told you everything evolves, even music.
True.
The music you call reggae today, when it started in a production called Mento. 5 years later, it changed to ska. 5 years later, it went to what you call rock steady, then to dub, then to roots, then to raga, then to lovers rock, then to, it went down to, up to today, it's called rhythm. Secular music started with what you call blues. Then it evolved to jazz. It evolved to country music. It evolved to rock and roll. It evolved to soul, then funk, then dance, then slow jam, R&B. Today it's in what you call trap or drip. So why is it that the political system that was created in 1960s still exists in this country?
Valid point. We are not evolving.
We are not evolving.
Iko tu hapo hivi.
Iko
Things
tu
are
hapo.
changing, iko tu hapo.
Yes, and that is what the people are saying. Apana, the game has been the same for long.
Yeah.
And I insist and I say every day, it is the same monkeys in the same forest. That's the reality. That's the reality.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're the same players. What they do is they change the political jersey.
Yeah,
So this season anacheza Arsenal, next season ako Man U. But players ni wale wale.
We saw the cabinet reshuffle.
Yes.
And we saw the pictures and guys are like, wait a minute, come on, man. After we had thought that, Mesha dismantled kila kitu, then people are brought up from different factions with like, what you've said about same players,
In
different. We're just like, even you, we
Yes.
thought you were with, even you. Mm-hmm. Do you think the president did the right thing with the cabinet reshuffle and the recalls and everything?
And that's why I told you the problem is the softwares still don't tally. You see, to be very honest, we don't have to play politics with everything.
Yeah.
And at a time like this where people are so emotional and these are matters of national concern,
Yeah.
we should not just be thinking in terms of the political aspect. Because what we saw from the appointments, the president was just playing politics. That is politics. But in reality, are those people going to bring the change people need? Are those people going to deliver the mandates they've been given? You and I know that a majority of them cannot perform. You see, the biggest problem in this country is that we accept people with small brains to rule over big brains. And that is where we go wrong. Meritocracy. We need to reward on merits and not political friends, not political rewards, and not a matter of tribe or your tribal cocoon or religious cocoon. No. We give the right people to do the right job. So the problem in this country is that we give the right jobs to the wrong people. And I'm telling you, I'll be here with you. Let's wait 3, 4, 5 months down the line. It is going to get worse. Economical problems in a country are solved economically. Since this government came in, we are not seeing any economic policy that will drive this country out of this abject poverty, that will help solve the debt issue, that will help take the country forward economically.
Raising taxes.
But we've reached the Laffer curve. Remember, the 2023 finance bill was aimed, and we protested. People were protesting against that bill.
Yeah.
And they pushed it forward. But what was the result? Come the financial year 2022-2023, at the end of the financial year, KRA still said they ran short of about 350 billion. So if that bill could not be able to even meet its target, what makes them think that this bill they had brought forward will solve that problem? You know, you cannot tax someone until a level where you cannot tax them anymore. That's where we've reached as Kenyans. Because you've taken everything. Now what else are you going to tax? If you go all over the world, Obinna, there is no country that has built its economy using taxation.
You think the president doesn't know this? Ama he knows and ignores?
I told you the biggest problem is we give the right jobs to the wrong people.
Okay.
Change in a country is like leadership in a home. If you have the right father, even the kids will turn. But if the father is crooked, everyone in the house, hata panya inaruka kwa meza saa ile mnakula.
You got confidence.
Yes, and a home is same as a country. It's policies. The rules you put in your home are what guides that home or preserves the home. So my brother, we've been here with you for the last 2-3 years. And these things did not start yesterday. Even from Uhuru's time. Simple things like respecting the rule of law. So if the people at the top do not respect the rule of law, who are we down here to respect it? And that's what Kenyans are saying.
You see, like when Gen Zs were protesting and then police started using force and people started dying.
Yes.
And the president was just silent. And it just happened again. And we're like, yo, what's happening? And later when he spoke and he said he was being given wrong information, and then the DP also did his presser in Mombasa, also said, I don't know what from DCI, and yes, nini, nini. Do you think the government at the top is one? And do you think they have access to information? When you ground in a SEMA?
I'll be very honest with you. You see, I told you a home is guided by the leaders at the top.
Yes.
So at any time when the leaders are not in sync, at any time when the leaders at the top are speaking different languages, that clearly tells you the home is in shambles. And that is our government of today. That is why the president will make a statement at State House. Concurrently, the deputy will make another statement in Mombasa saying two different things. Conflicting messages, but it's one government. And for us, I'll tell you one thing about leadership. You know, a state is an arranged bureaucracy. It is the police, the military, the navy, the court system and the jail system. The state is the system. And these are people who, we call them AGIP, who are in power, any government in power. And they have to protect the state. So that's why when there is a threat and it is perceived that there are people who are planning to overthrow the government, the state will come in full force.
All right, the ones you've seen right in front of you are students from Goldchild Media Institute. It's an institution that teaches people what to do in the media space. You want to do videography, you want to do photography, you want to do anything on this space. Simusimame ni kama mwatu wa nini sasa. Hapa si HR bwana. Hii ni media inataka watu creative nini. Umeshika kamera, kani kama umeshikilia kamera nini. So, what are you doing? Videography, and photography. Or finally to change tune and photography. Videography and photography. Apple. Oh, okay. All right. They're all studying the same thing. So if you want to join, you should consider coming through to Goldchild Media Institute. They're in town. And on this show, Obinna Show Live, we always have, once in a while, we invite some students from the school to come through and get a glimpse of what goes on. You can see the lights. If you pan like this, you can see we have the lights this side. I wish we could pan around so you could see more of the things that are happening behind the scenes. So you need to study all of these things that are happening over here. It's not as easy, and also it's not as hard. Okay, it takes a little bit of discipline and a little bit of lessons here and there, the technical know-how. So consider joining Goldchild Media Institute. Ukuje join Hawa. ujifundishe, si kujifundisha ku DJ tu peke yake. All right, we're back. Let me know, guys, if the sound is good. Let me know if the sound is good now, if you can hear me. Just let me know if you're good. Let me know if you're live. That, of course, is Goldchild Media Institute, the best place to go if you want to study media production. Anything to do with videography, photography, editing, nini, unaingia hapo. Uniambie, John Kioko, sound iko sawa? Sound iko fiti, sound iko fiti, sound iko fiti. Okay. Yeah, I've seen. So we've actually already interviewed Tony Young. We've interviewed Tony Young, but his interview is coming later in the week. We just did it before the one for Steve Mbogo, but his is coming the other time. The same way also we did the one for Vini Baite. Also that one is coming later in the week, and also we did one more. We've done like 4 episodes so on Mondays we shoot from 9 in the morning. There's some we go live, some of them we record for later in the week. All right? So I've seen the ones who are waiting for Tony Young. It's coming later in the week, but we've already interviewed him. Hata ametoka, ameimba sana. He's a full vibe. So we were talking about, we're having a conversation. We're having a conversation about the direction the country is going with Mheshimiwa Steve Mbogo. Kama hauna kalamu, tafuta. Samahani for the sound. We can proceed.
No problem. Where were we?
Tulikuwa wapi? Because wacha niangalie sound ilipotelea wapi. Let me just check now. Let me check where the sound kilituramba. All right, the ones you've seen right in front of you are students from Goldchild Media Institute. It's an institution that teaches people what to do in the media space. You want to do
Earlier, a state is an arranged bureaucracy. Okay. It is the military, the police, the court system, and the jail system. At any time a state feels threatened, it will always come out in full force to protect the state. Yeah. But one thing leaders do not understand is that power is transient. Political leadership is...
Yeah. But sound is there. Are you saying sound? Yes. Equals sour. Yeah. Let's continue, sir.
Political leadership is transient. And that is what leaders need to understand. Okay. And if you look at the trends of our leaders of today, for the last 10 years going forward, we are creating a culture of infights and revenge. I'm saying this because going forward, we are creating a culture where now people in power, immediately you're out of power, or anyone who comes into power, is finding a way of fighting the former leader. So leaders in this country must sober up and understand that the interest of Kenya should always come first, other than the interests of other foreign entities, personal interests, and even for themselves. As in the interest, leadership is all about service to the people, Obinna. Yeah. As you say, a leader is someone who is perceived or is supposed to be a problem solver and should show guidance towards an achieved obligation or a goal. So it's never about personalizing the aspect of power. Yes.
All right. So in short, No, I'm saying from your conversation in short, yes. Kimeturamba, because everything is spoken about, we just seen, yes. There is a bit of disorganization here and here, yes. And the people in the same faction, yes. And the way things are happening, I'm just like, okay. All right. So when I knew you were coming, I did a little bit of research, and I wrote a couple of questions down that we are going to be tackling. Let me just give you a highlight so that tujue tunaanzia wapi pole pole. So there was the Gen Z ideology. Yes. I wrote about the international influence. We have our police going to Haiti, us being given some money and some old choppers. We also have the part for depopulation agenda. I've seen you speak a lot about it. I'll also want you to break that down. Wanapanga kotumaleza. Yeah, there's that. I've also seen you talk about vaccination, that one. And also I want to talk about the New World Order. I've seen you spoken about that. I want us to talk about the policies. I want us to talk about the situation with the World Bank. I want us to talk about the loans consequences. We have too many loans. We're always getting them. I want us to talk about the Kenyan debts. I want us to talk about Baba's partnership and the handshake, in quotes. I want us to talk about Baba telling Gen Zs, oh, we need dialogue. I want us to talk about Baba in AU. You promised that you'll give Baba 10 million if he wins the AU seat, right? There's that part. I want to talk about human trafficking. Bro, I've been seeing a couple of things that are happening in the country and it's bad. We are not going the right direction. Human trafficking ni kama imeanza kupanda tena. Ama nikia ilikuwa na feature sasa inaondokea. Also abduction. We're finding a lot of dead bodies and they have bullet wounds and sijui wengine wako wapi, wengine wametupwa kuare, nini. Even during the mandamano for the Gen Zs, there's a couple of young people who just go missing. Wengine wanatana out wameuliwa, wengine wanatana out wamefinywa. Happens. I've hosted some of them here. I want us to talk about that one. I want us to talk about political conmanship, okay, as a whole. And also, we can see, there was a story that a lot of people were saying about recalling the MPs. This ties down to the finance bill. Recalling the MPs. I want us to see, is it possible? Because I was being also informed that there's a clause that they did not approve huko ndani, so kuna venye bado is a bit technical. So I want us to talk about all this. We're going to just align them one by one. But before we get internationally, we've started locally. We're in the country. We've spoken about the Gen Zs. We've spoken about the presidency kidogo. Tumeguzia tu juju. But now let's get deeper. Nataka tuanzie hapa kwa abduction. Then now we come back all the way to Baba and everything. Then now we go New World Order and the rest. Hapa kwa abduction. We've seen a lot of people go missing.
Yes.
And sometimes the government is like, we don't know who those people are. When the Gen Zs were andamanaing and we saw people with unmarked cars, masked men, we've seen police, even the shootouts that were happening in Rongai, Zimmerman, Githurai, Kitengela. We look at them like, really? What's happening? What's your take around everything that's happening hapa? Abductions, threats, watu going missing, kupigwa, kuuliwa?
To me personally, and this is a fact, you know, that is, to begin with, as I said, we as a country, we are a democratic country. And a democratic country is a country guided by the Constitution.
Yeah.
The issue of abduction in itself, it contravenes the Constitution. It is unconstitutional. We have a very, very good Constitution that outlines all procedures on matters to do with when someone is in fault, when someone needs to be taken in for questioning, when someone needs to be charged. We have procedures and they are clear in the Constitution. Now, this issue of abduction, to me, in most cases, it happens when the government is trying to threaten people from actualizing their agenda. I mean, I don't think there is any young person in this country that the government cannot manage to reach. I don't think there's any young person today who can be summoned and refuse to report. Because all these people who are being abducted, I've not seen one of them who has been summoned and he refused to go. So I think also our security forces should sober up and understand that these cries these young people are having are legitimate cries. These are problems that affect all of us. You see, when we were growing up, the people in the forces were perceived as leaders in the society. They were leaders. We used to go to them for consultations. When a policeman or a pastor or an engineer will speak in the society, those were the opinion shapers in the society. But you see, if they create this culture and build up that fear, then how are we supposed to integrate with them in the society? It becomes difficult. And I'll tell you, you abduct one, you kill one, 50 revolt. You kill another one, 50 or 100 revolt. So you cannot solve the problem using the same formula that has never worked before. I said before, we live in the third industrial revolution. And that is why when someone is abducted, in 10, 20 minutes, it's all over the country, it's news. And the person becomes popular. And there is pressure from all corners, from the law society to the civic societies to human rights societies, and also to Kenyans at large. So for those senior people in the security docket, it is time we find ways of integrating ourselves with the community. Let us not build that fear to an extent that as citizens now, we are meant to believe we are so different from the police officers.
Yeah.
Because number one, I said these things are unconstitutional. And it pains Kenyans more when most of these people, there is clear evidence to some of those policemen who committed the offenses. They used force and killed some of these young people and are still at large. We are not seeing any prosecution. We are not seeing them being reprimanded. We are not seeing proper investigations taking place. So the government should understand that this country we call Kenya belongs to all of us. There is no one who is bigger or above the law. So it is time we as Kenyans and the government and the security forces understand that the interests of Kenya, whatever people are complaining about, are problems that affect all of us. And you know, it's different, my brother, because you look at this issue today, once these young people locate a policeman, in 2-3 hours they have his entire information.
That's true.
Now you're seeing it goes out of the box to an extent that people are even posting their children and their wives and their families. That means their families are being exposed to risk. So I don't think this is a right trajectory to move. Because I saw one video of a young man, an old man who was in total pain. And he said he knows the cop who killed his son. And he said, if I meet this man, nitampiga nyundo. You know, it is out of pain. And he's saying, that man shot my son. And he's still in the streets shooting other people. What does that mean? We don't want this country to reach a point of what we call self-preservation. Self-preservation is where now citizens have realized there is no government to protect them. There is no government to listen to them. There is no government to give them a direction. So people take arms and people take decisions onto their own hands. We don't want to reach that direction. And I said earlier, you subject people through social degradation, political exploitation, and economic oppression. The only outcome is resistance.
Definitely.
Yes.
Now let's move up to Baba. All this is happening. People are going missing. Gen Zs are like, no, we want this, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. Then Baba pulls up and says, yo, let's give space for dialogue. You saw it?
Yes, I saw it.
You support it?
For Baba Raila Odinga, you have to understand him.
Okay.
I was in ODM. I was a NEC member in ODM.
Okay.
He's a man I respect. He was my political father at one moment.
Yeah.
And he's one man you need to understand. Raila Odinga understands what a state or a government is. And he's one of the few people who knows how to play the political game.
Yeah.
But as much as we are talking about the political aspect of him, he is one person who understands the importance of peace in a country. As much as many people will disagree with me, one thing I'll tell you is that Raila Odinga is one man that understands the importance of peace in this country.
Okay.
He's been in the game for the longest. Raila Odinga joined politics in the year 1982. So that's about 42 years in politics. And he knows what it means to lose a country. But if you look at this angle at which they managed to use this opportunity, the reality is for them they saw an opportunity and they jumped ship and they got the positions they got. So as much as he wanted and understood the importance of peace,
Yeah.
he also became an opportunist to this situation. Because I'll tell you, every time on a personal level from where I sit, I believe and I know Baba Raila Amolo Odinga has never had interest to be president of the Republic of Kenya. It is you people who push him. It's true.
Baba does not want to be president.
Never has that interest. Why is it that every time when he's almost clinching that seat, he will jump ship and change the direction? He's in opposition always, but my brother is always in the warm side of the opposition. Tell me which government Raila Odinga has not been in the warm side of opposition. From 1997.
Moi.
No, in 1997 when Raila vied for presidency, he was number 5. But he was the biggest complainer that Moi has stolen the elections. Moi had to bring him into Kanu. He had a handshake with Moi. And he became the Minister of Energy at that time. 2-3 years down the line, he disagreed with Moi after Moi nominating Uhuru Kenyatta and joined Kibaki. 4 years down the line, he disagreed with Kibaki. He vied in 2007. He won, but they stole elections from him. That one was clear, we all know. But what did he do? He went back and did a handshake with Kibaki. 2-3 years down the line, he argued with Kibaki. He vied against Uhuru. Uhuru won. 2-3-4 years down the line, 2017, he vied against Uhuru. Uhuru won, but he went and had another handshake. Today, he's had his other handshake with Ruto. So he understands this game. And for me personally, it's always about his personal interest and not the interest of Kenyans. You know, we have to speak as it is. A time has come where we have to communicate and speak things the way they are.
You feel Raila's interest not for the people?
No.
And
you're getting me wrong.
Yeah.
I said Raila is one person who has love for the country.
Okay.
But in this political game, this thing we call politics,
Yes.
it is about him. And that is why I've told you, from the time of Moi, I've explained to you all the 5 times, Raila Odinga has always been in the warm side of...
Secure the bag.
He's always secured his position.
Okay.
You understand?
I got you.
And it is time now Kenyans have to think straight. Because evolution is paramount, as I stated earlier.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, 2027 is coming through. A lot of people are speculating Raila might be on the ballot, he might not. But also there's this seat for AU that you promise you'll give him 10 million if he wins. So one, were you serious with the 10 million?
I have it. The only problem in Kenya, I don't think there's someone I can trust to hold it.
You can trust me. I'm going to give the money, say, Baba.
You see, I told you we live under the 3rd Industrial Revolution, where we have access to information. And as a country today, we are where we are because of what you call escapism. We like escaping from the reality.
Okay.
I was in ODM, a NEC member, and I used to ask fellow NEC members, what is the strategy that we have to ensure we beat Ruto in 2022 elections? And the majority of them were saying we have the government, we have the system. No one could give you facts or numbers. And that is why I left ODM. Because I told Raila, I cannot lie to you anymore. Uhuru Kenyatta is playing with you, they are not helping you politically. So same applies with this AUC. The AUC position for Raila Odinga is the same game that was played with the BBI agenda. It is meant to derail Raila for this entire 1 year until elections next year. And when he loses, they are very sure Raila will lose his base support from the people. And by that time, he will have broken his entire opposition team. And it is happening now. Just today, Munya said he's leaving. Martha Karua said he's leaving Azimio.
Yeah.
Kalonzo is speaking another language. So Raila should understand, as much as he is benefiting, it is also a trap for him. And I tell people every day, the moment your enemies start celebrating you, then that is the end of the beginning of your end.
There's a problem.
There's a problem somewhere. So how can Raila win that seat? As per the elections, we are told you need minimum 2/3 of the total votes in Africa. So that's about 39 countries. Obinna, tell me which 39 countries will vote for a candidate fronted by William Samoei Ruto. When Raila goes for that seat, he's not going as Raila Odinga, he's going as Kenya. How is Kenyan being viewed today in the entire Africa? You and I know. We've lost a lot of credit. Look at our neighbors. We are fighting with our neighbors. We have a problem with Somali. We have a problem with Sudan. We have a problem with Uganda. We have a problem with Tanzania. We have a problem with Congo. Last AUC seat elections, we had fronted a candidate. No one talks about it. Amina Mohammed. Do you know that Amina Mohammed was a candidate in 2017, I think, 2018?
I think there was Nini like
Yes,
that,
she
but
was a
it
candidate.
Yeah.
And she was defeated by Faki from West Africa. Can I shock you that even our neighbors around did not vote for us? In fact, Burundi did a statement and said, we cannot vote for Kenya because Kenya perceives to know everything. And we like interfering with the sovereignties of other countries. Uganda said, Uganda, this our neighbor, said they cannot trust Kenya because we seem to be fighting for all positions, as in we are Mr. Know-All, we want everything for ourselves. So if you could not convince Djibouti, Eritrea, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda to vote for us, and at that time we had a good relationship. So what about now? Who is going to vote for us? Just last week you saw, he's called Kamamba, the foreign minister of Tanzania, has also declared to run for the seat. We have the lady from Somalia. We have the lady, the gentleman from Djibouti. So as much as the seat is coming to East Africa, look at the figures. It is close to impossible, my brother.
So Baba
and I think Baba knows.
Ah.
Yeah, he knows. He knows, and he will be in the ballot 2027. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes.
But we can see the direction that things are going on ground.
Mm-hmm.
I personally know that in 2027 we're gonna have we're gonna clean house.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a lot of new young crop of leaders, because the young guys are like, now it's time we get our votes. Finally, the youth are realizing their vote has power. And finally they're realizing these old guys don't care about us. Do you really think 2027 we might still have President Ruto, or we might have the likes of Baba taking power?
That's a very good question. And I'll tell you one thing. Whatever is happening is very good because these young people are waking up. But if they don't get the game right, the same people, the same monkeys in the same forest will still come back to power. You see, growth is a gradual process.
True.
And it entails learning. And this thing called the political game, it's a game we need to understand. Look at the mood of the country today. A majority of people were fighting William Samoei Ruto, were against him. What did he do? He just had to call Raila, do a secret handshake with him, give his cronies few cabinet positions. Now he's gone back on top of the roof. And people are celebrating him. Why? They hold the instruments of political prosperity. So it is until the young people understand that political change can only be gotten through the political process. Political change can only be attained through a political process. And a political process is through the electoral process. And that's why we're advocating for political literacy and civic education. It is time young people now have to understand that their votes count. It is time young people need to understand that they need to register as voters and ensure they get the right leaders into those positions. Because I'll tell you again, Oga Obinna, leadership is not just about young people. It is about getting people with the know-how. I'll give you an example. Who are the topmost political bosses in this country? We have Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, and William Samoei Ruto. Raila Odinga joined politics in the year 1982. So those are 42 years. Kalonzo Musyoka joined politics in 1983. Those are 41 years. Musalia Mudavadi joined politics in 1989. Those are 35 years. William Samoei Ruto joined politics in 1992. Those are 32 years. All these four gentlemen have been in the topmost positions of power. They've been presidents, vice presidents, prime minister, deputy prime ministers, ministers of all accord. But between you and me, Is there any of them who can show what they've done in terms of the economic liberation of this country? None.
Yeah.
So how do we expect to find a solution or change by using the same
people.
thinking that created the problem? That's why we are saying it is time to create what we call a political overhaul. And it's coming, my brother. It's coming. It's coming. Let us reward people. Let us elect people based on merit. It's no longer about your political cocoon. It's no longer about your tribal cocoon.
I think the young ones will. Because
Yes.
Gen Zs don't care about ati huu ni tribe yetu nini.
Exactly.
Then they're wanakuanga humse, tuna like vibe yake, akona nini yetu.
Yes, exactly.
Our parents were the ones who were with our,
Yes.
unajua ni mtu wa kwetu.
It is time young people should separate emotions from politics. Don't be emotional. Separate your emotions. Think straight. Get the right leader for the right job. And this country will go forward. I'm happy and I'm glad at least I was mature enough when Kibaki got into power. And I could see a country change. I could see hope. I could see a brighter future. These young people today are revolting because, to be very honest, they don't see light at the end of the tunnel. So it is until they understand also how to get people with the know-how,
Yeah.
people with the understanding on how to take this country forward. Because the biggest problem we have in this country, and the only thing we need, Obinna, is economic liberation. We thank people like Raila. They fought for the second liberation of this country. It is time for the third liberation. And the third liberation needs minds that understand the third liberation, which is the economic liberation. Anyone who is economically independent is comfortable with everything.
But that's going to be a little bit tricky for us to even get economically independent, looking at our loan situation, our debt situations. Bro, we always just borrowing here to pay here, then we are patching kidogo, a couple of them go missing, then it's a loop. It's like a conveyor belt.
Yes.
Can I come to, we're like, okay, if you look at the things we are, like industrialization in the country, kidogo,
We are going down.
yes. Let's talk about the loans situation and the debt situation. Are we ever going to solve it with the way we are going?
It is very easy.
Yeah.
It is very easy. First, we need to define and understand what this debt is.
Okay.
We need to define and understand what this debt is. Because today when you go into the books of government, a majority of that loan were in a way taken unconstitutionally. During Uhuru Kenyatta's time, they amended a clause and allowed for what you call domestic debt for development, which is unconstitutional. Which is unconstitutional.
They amended a clause.
Yes, they amended a clause quietly, in secrecy. Because the clause, the original constitution stated, and it's very clear in the constitution, and it states that any loan must be gotten after approval from parliament. And I'll tell you, even during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, only 2 trillion out of the 8 trillion had an approval from parliament. So how do you call, or what do you call that debt? It is simply odious debt. Now, the worst thing above all is that the Auditor General is saying, out of all this remaining 6 trillion and many monies that this government has taken, we cannot see the development projects they've done, because you're only supposed to borrow for development. So where is this money going to? So it means people found a way on how to make money using the domestic banks here, because the banks are earning interests. If you look at Uhuru Kenyatta's time, in those 10 years, the government is perceived to have paid interests worth 5.6 trillion. And still that money is not in the book. So the debt remains at 8 trillion, but you are told they've paid 5.6 trillion. So why are we discussing debt and yet it's odious? You know, these are the conversations we need to have. And the time has come where we have to speak things as they are. Obinna, Our biggest obligation is to make sure we leave Kenya better than we found it. So, borrowing a loan to pay another loan is not solving the problem. It's not solving the problem.
Going around.
Now, look at the people who are giving us loans today. We decided to go to bed with the Bretton Woods institutions. And there is no country that the IMF has been to that is stable. Take an example, Congo, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Zambia, Ghana, Ethiopia. They all crashed. Because the Bretton Woods institutions will never give you money for you to pay it back. They'll give you money at their own interests. So look at our state today as a country. We are at a brink of debt default.
And if we default like this,
of course, inflation will go up and will be the first casualties. That's the reality. Take an example of what happened in Ghana. Immediately they defaulted on their debt. 30% of all the money belonging to citizens were taken by the government. So if you have your 1 million in the bank, 300,000 goes to the government. If you have a million or 10,000 in your M-Pesa, 3,000 goes to the government. Today, Ghana is at 35%. And many, many other countries. Greece, it happened the same.
IMF. And we are in bed with them. They are our BFFs.
And we cannot come out.
We've just borrowed this from the IMF and they're like, yo.
And the worst thing is the government is not telling us the conditions or the securities given against these borrowings. Do you know any?
Nope.
If you're to borrow money anywhere, you must give a security.
Yes.
So what is the security that has been given against our loans?
Hey, man. Bro, there's a lot. When we started this interview, I said, there's a lot we don't know. But only if you sit down and listen. And then I beg you, after this interview, just go and do your own research. Don't go there in the comment, apana nini. Listen, write them down, then ingia to online. It's just there. You'll just get a lot of information. You're just like, okay. Me, bro, there's some things you're just telling me. I'm like, okay, I didn't see this coming. But now that you mentioned it, by the way, now this plus this makes a lot of sense.
And we have to speak. And I tell you, me when I speak, I'm not speaking because I'm interested in any political seat or any reward from anyone or no. I'm actualizing my assignment in life. Let me tell you. And the time has come where we need to think about this younger generation. If our forefathers shed blood for us to have this beautiful country, why are we sitting comfortable, allowing our kids to go into abject poverty as a country? And these are things we can solve. Okay, we have debt today. Have you seen any policy that is creating a solution on how to create money? I told you, economical problems are solved economically.
Yep.
Oga Obinna, if you owe someone 100 shillings, you have to look for a way of making 100 and paying that person.
Yep.
It cannot be solved by you kneeling down every day. Economical problems are solved economically. So if you look at this government, what policy have you seen are able to help us come out of that loan? And majority of these policies being implemented here are policies pushed by these Bretton Woods institutions. You see, when I say I'm giving you a loan and I'm not allowing you to give subsidy, I'm telling you to tax people more. I'm telling you to crash businesses more. In short, I'm giving you a loan for you never to pay it. So what is their interest? And why isn't the government telling us the agreements they had with these institutions? Those are the questions.
Nobody in the president's team knows this.
They know, but they've been held captive. How many times has the president said clearly that my hands are tied? You remember when he had his PG meeting with Kenya Kwanza politicians, he was very clear. He said, my hands are tied. When the MPs were telling him, please, this issue of fuel, taxation from 8 to 16%, the ground is very hostile about this issue. And he told them, I can't do anything. My hands are tied. So if the father of the house says his hands are tied, and yet he's the boss of the country.
Right.
So who are the people pulling the strings, Obinna? It is the same people he went to bed with. And the globalists have taken full control of this country. And we have to speak about them.
So you believe the president is not in charge anymore?
No.
The president is now a puppet?
101%.
Most of these things he's doing is being forced to do them.
Do you think the president does not know these things?
That's
He
what
knows.
I'm wondering all the time. I'm like, yo,
He knows.
it's white and black.
He knows. He knows.
But he can do
So
nothing.
as we speak today, he's someone who needs help from Kenyans. We need to understand that our president has been held captive. We need to understand that this country has been held captive. And we need to understand that it is us as Kenyans that can help ourselves come out of this problem.
So if we remove the president,
Yes.
do we still have the same consequences from the ones who are using him as a puppet?
You know, I'll tell you how the globalists operate. They're very smart. They realize the best way to control countries, you only need to convince one person, and that is the president. So you either convince or you install.
A president of your own.
Yes, of your own, who will make sure they implement the entire policies to your
Their
advantage.
interests are,
Yes.
oh wow.
So again, saying Ruto must go is not a solution until we get the right person for the right job. And that's the reality, Oga. Because
Okay.
you can replace him and get a worse president.
Aya. Hapa kwa puppet. Tusonge kidogo. There's this Haiti situation. Everybody was like, no, we cannot send our police to Haiti. We have bandits here that we have not even managed
Yes.
to get rid of.
Yes.
There is insecurity in the country.
Yes.
Our police are paid shitty money. We need them here. Then somehow they just went. And then the president goes to the States and then gets these choppers, gets this grant and whatever. So also that's part of the whole game.
Of course, as I told you, their assistance comes with conditions. And this issue of sending our troops to Haiti was not a Kenyan's decision. It was a decision by the Americans and the West. And remember, they paid for it. It is not free. So money exchanged hands. But the problem is we are indulging ourselves in fights and wars that do not affect us. We really don't need those involvements.
Yeah.
Today, we are seeing pictures being shared from Haiti. A majority of the forces that went there are guarding the American embassy. Now, let me tell you, the distance from America to Haiti is a 30 minutes flight or a 20 minutes flight. They have the best military and expertise on things to do with security.
Even intelligence.
Why couldn't they send their own? Now, you have to understand that people do not know the history of Haiti and the wealth of Haiti. Haiti is one of the richest countries, and that is why there is so much instability in that country for the longest. The UN have been there for the last 30 years, from the 1980s. They've never seen peace. Why? Haiti has the largest deposit of a mineral called iridium.
Makes sense.
A kilo of iridium, Oga, is about $45 million. $45 million. A kilo. Haiti has gold deposit of a minimum $20 to $30 billion. Haiti has copper deposits of a minimum $8 to $15 billion. The same Haiti has oil deposits to up to $150 to $200 billion. So do you think that's a poor country?
Nope.
So what do you think is the greatest interest of the West there? It's the
Gotta take it
minerals.
over, yeah.
It's the minerals.
Wow.
It's the minerals. Look at those gangs in Haiti. What are they saying? They're saying all we are combating or all we are fighting against is the external influence into our country.
Yeah, we don't want you guys.
Yeah, leave us
Yeah.
with our country. Let us manage our country. And majority of those gang leaders, my friend, were former police officers and people in the military. So you see, this involvement and relationships we're building with people who really do not have our interest but their interest are sinking us in much more problems. The other day you were told Kenya now will be involved in the Yemeni Houthi war. To an extent now they've claimed we are a non-member NATO ally. Do you know what that means?
I got no idea.
So it means, number one, our forces should always be ready for deployment anytime. It means Kenya is prone to any attack, and that is why they are being our allies. They can assist us if we are attacked. It means very soon we'll see installation of NATO facilities in this country, and it's coming. It's coming. Rumor has it one of the agreements was the government handed a percentage of Manda Bay to American government, and they're planning to build up the biggest Guantanamo Bay there. You know?
Torture chambers. It's jail now.
So
Wow.
we really need to think as a country.
Aya, before we move, let's come kidogo tu hapa kwa airport. Do you have an idea what's happening hapa kwa airport yetu?
I think the airport imeenda.
But the president spoke and said that he's just getting, let's say, like, what was his
A
exact
PPP.
words? Yeah.
Yeah, I said it's a partner.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
partnership.
but you see, as much as it's partnership, you have to look at the clauses and the conditions. You see, when you say I'm coming in as a partner, but I'm only bringing, I don't know, 15 to 18%, and the rest of the money should be raised by Kenya and a loan. And then I come in as a major partner who will take over everything. To an extent, they were demanding the title deed of the airport. So there's some foul play somewhere. If it's a PPP, let it be open. Let it make sense. If the conditions don't make sense, get another partner. Get another partner.
And we can't do it alone?
That's why I said, if you give the wrong people the right jobs, everything will crumble. When Kibaki was in power, Kibaki had a plan to build the biggest airport. It was going to be the biggest airport in the entire Africa, with a transiting point of about 20 million people a year. Let me tell you, one of the easiest way to build a country is by creating what we call the biggest transit point. That is how countries like Hong Kong made it. That is how countries like Dubai did it. If you have 20 million people transiting in your country, there are those people who will sleep in Nairobi.
Definitely.
There's someone who will come out and see a Kamrembo here and buy a house and marry here. There's someone who will leave the airport, see the giraffes and love Kenya and invest in Kenya. Any person who steps foot there, it is $1 to the country. But we are not getting it right.
Okay. Let's move to another thing. I want to talk about the depopulation agenda. Now let's go to the higher ranks. Let's talk about, I've seen you talk about vaccination situations, Nini. What's that about?
I think you allow me to take you back
Okay.
so that we'll come. Because if I speak about vaccination and people don't know where this agenda started from,
Okay.
then it's difficult for people to understand. Now, there's something big that is happening all over the world, and this is not a Kenyan problem, it's a global problem. The only problem is Kenya has been chosen as the prototype for Africa for these implementations. Back then in 1946, immediately after the end of the Second World War, the UN formulated, actually that is when the UN was formulated. And on the 13th of February 1946, the UN formulated what you call the UN Charter. And the UN Charter had only one key obligation. And its obligation is to break sovereignties of all countries and build a one world government. And this is not an idea that started today. It's been there for the longest, even before 1946. Great leaders like Stalin of Russia and Hitler, they also had a similar idea, where they will build what we call a one world government, where the whole world is ruled by one structure. One government, one army, one currency, one identity. You know, streamline the whole world to be under one leadership. And that is why they created the UN. At that time, this agenda was spearheaded by a group of cabals called the Group of 300 men in the name of the Bilderberg Group. These are the bosses of the world. And they said we must actualize this agenda because these are families that have made they own everything in the world. They're the bosses of these systems, from the military complex to the pharmaceutical to media to transport and logistics to name it, everything, banking sector, they control everything, to real estate and so on. So they say they're going to do it, but they're going to come with a different approach, and that is through diplomacy and strategy. So this is an idea that started in the 1940s. By 1971, the group regrouped into another group called the World Economic Forum. I'm sure you've heard of World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum is a group now which all these billionaires sit, the billionaires of the world. And they're the people who make decisions on how they will create this agenda of the one world government. So the World Economic Forum was created in 1971 and headed by a German economist called Klaus Schwab. He's the boss of that group. So on approach to about 1991, after the end of the Cold War, remember after the Second World War came the Cold War. So immediately the Cold War went down. That's when now the acceleration took place. And at that time it was being accelerated by a group called the Club of Rome. So actually in 1992, the entire 166 countries in the world met under the UN and declared that the biggest problem in the world is the population problem. And they passed a law to say that we have to find ways on how to depopulate the world. So this is something that started way back. But by the time they are launching this idea and voting in the 166 countries in 1992, from 1972 to 1992, silently, the World Health Organization and the UNFPA, that is the Population Fund, had gotten experts to do a study on vaccinations. So immediately these countries voted, the 166 countries, the same 1992, the UNFPA and the WHO launched what we call the vaccination report. And that's when they came out with these vaccinations to combat population. Here in Kenya, it started in a campaign in what we used to call the tetanus campaign in the 1990s. So what these scientists did at that time, they realized that in the woman reproductive system, the moment a woman is pregnant, there's a chemical or rather a product created called the HCG hormone. And this hormone is what helps the fetus to grow. So they realized if you can find a way of creating a better HCG or an anti-HCG hormone, something that can fight the HCG, it is definitely going to fight the pregnancy. And those scientists found a way of mixing a tetanus toxoid with that HCG hormone, but in the name of tetanus campaigns. So during the time of Daniel Arap Moi, that was the first time our women here started getting vaccinated, and it was all over the world. But in 1995, the Catholic women of Philippines did a test and realized that majority of the women who are being vaccinated with this tetanus jab are getting complications, losing pregnancies, and becoming infertile. So they went to the international court, and this tetanus vaccine was abolished. But it came back again in the 2013-2014 during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. And here in Kenya, the Catholic doctors had a very big fight with the government because of those vaccines. To an extent that the Catholic doctors took the government to court. But because of government power, it still went on. But there was proof from even independent organizations. There's a company in Kenya called AgriQuest that conducted those tests. And they realized that in all these vials, the tetanus vials or jabs, they found the anti-HCG hormones in them. So this thing has come back again, and in big time in this country. You see, in the World Economic Forum, in the Agenda 2030, or the New World Order, they state clearly that the biggest problem in the world is population. And they say that their target is to reduce the population from 8.5 billion to a maximum of 1 billion. Yes. Go do your research. I want Kenyans to read. Their ultimate goal is to find ways of doing away with about 7 billion people. You and I know that many of us who are vaccinated, there are so many people who've gotten complications, serious complications, from myocarditis to cardiovascular diseases, to blood clots, to fertility disorders. These reports are there. Look at the cancer rates that are happening, turbo cancers. People are collapsing everywhere. Cancers are moving from stage 1 to stage 5. Now, upon research by independent doctors, most of the doctors are finding out that these vaccines we got are what we call nanolipid vaccines. These are mRNA vaccines that do not leave the body. So they create protein patterns in the body. They change the whole composition of the body and the DNA. So all this is part of the agenda of population. Today in this country, look at the former CS Nakumicha. Immediately she got into power, early this year in March, she was appointed a board member in the World Economic Forum. And from that time, every weekend, I'm sure you've seen news, she's always launching a vaccination campaign somewhere in the name of HPV and fertility. Now in India, some years back, about 25,000 girls were vaccinated with the HPV vaccine. Majority and almost all of them fell so ill and sick. And most of them had fertility problems, to an extent that the Indian government sent out or chased the Bill Gates Foundation, who was spearheading that agenda in India. Now today in Kenya, I've come across documents where school kids all over, I've seen few documents from Kiambu County, I saw Kirinyaga, Murang'a, where now the Ministry of Health is going into schools and vaccinating our kids involuntarily. Just the other day, I saw the World Health Organization scientists saying, indeed, they've realized that most of these vaccines for the kids are harming the kids. So we as a country, if we cannot protect ourselves, if the government cannot protect ourselves in terms of our health, then what kind of a government do we have? And I'm sure most of them do not do their research. They just follow orders. Just the other day, I saw the Ministry of Health saying they're planning to deworm 6 million school kids. Now, these are kids who don't have books, don't have food. Why do you deworm me and I'm hungry? What is the agenda? You heard the president say he wants to deworm all cows. What is the agenda? To vaccinate all cows.
You want to kill also cows?
From evidence. The other days, a large number of cows were vaccinated in America. Now, the funniest thing is that cows were found with a disease that cows never get before. A large number of them were found with what we call bird flu. And they had to cull or kill all those cows. So what is the problem? What is happening if we have a government that cannot protect us? You see, this information is out there and people need to go and read. This is the reality. This is the reality.
So what do we do, bro?
First, it starts with the civic education. People need to know. So our parents who are there at home, our kids, our fellow citizens, should be wary of people who are coming to vaccinate the kids without their consent. Because there is no law. Who makes those decisions, Obinna? I saw now, some parents are protesting. I met a politician from Mount Kenya. And when I was talking to her, she was so shocked and she told me, Steve, a week ago, I had more than 20 women who came to my office asking why the kids are being vaccinated. So she called the CEC of health in the county. And the CEC said he was not aware. Those people came from the Ministry of Health of national government. So where are we heading to as a country? Leaders should protect the lives of Kenyans. That is key priority. You cannot lead people who don't exist. You cannot lead dead zombies. You lead people. So first protect us in the simple means possible.
Maybe that's not what they want. Maybe they don't want to lead. Everybody just wants to get for themselves. The biggest conspiracy theory that happened, that also I just want to throw in there before we move into the New World Order, COVID. There's too many things flying around.
Exactly.
Oh, it's G5G.
Exactly.
You had, they're planning, the vaccine, what. Was also COVID part of this whole thing?
And that is why I've told you.
1 minute, they change your battery. Hapa. Yep, yes, I'm as confused as you guys. Yeah, I'm just there. Like, okay, tururu. The sound is good now? Or you need to change that one as well? Or change that one as well? Yeah. Put the poster for Men's Walk Hunter. You're good to go? You're back? All right. We're speaking COVID.
Yeah, so we're asking about COVID, and I'll take you back to what I said.
Yeah.
Today, independent doctors, it is now evident that one of the worst mistakes you will do during the COVID time was going to the oxygen machine. And ask yourself, majority of people who died with COVID, are those people who went into the oxygen machine? The other biggest mistake was the mask, because people kept recycling the virus in themselves. Now, I've told you today upon evidences, a lot of evidences, and people can go read about what is happening.
Okay.
Majority of people who are vaccinated are suffering various complications from fertility disorders, cardiovascular disorders, myocarditis or inflammations, heart inflammations, blood clots. A majority of people who are passing away upon post-mortem, out of 10 who are vaccinated, 9 to 9.5 have weird blood clots. And those are protein patterns. So to me, it is simple. It was part of the agenda of the depopulation.
Wow. And they achieved it.
They made it. They achieved it.
Yeah.
And they sold fear.
They got away with that one.
They sold fear to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got away with that one. Right under our nose. We didn't see it. A lot of us assumed putting on the mask, going for the vaccination was the best thing to do. And a couple of people went for vaccination, got blood clots. Others,
Exactly.
whatever, died.
Cardiac arrests.
Cardiac arrest and... Okay. Unaona? Yeah, even myself, I'm as shocked as you are. A couple of informations I'm getting from this place, I'm just like, wow. Okay, I'm like, okay, then why are we working so hard for? If they plan to kill us, I'm like, okay, then get it over with. Anyway, now, let's come and talk about the New World Order.
Exactly. So I'll pick up from where I left.
Okay.
I told you now in 1992,
Okay.
they realized first, for us to control people, to be under New World Order, we first have to reduce their population.
Okay.
Because you cannot control 8 billion people under your rules.
Okay.
So where do we start? They decided and realized the first thing they have to combat population is to control the food. Because you control the food, you control the masses. You control the food, you control the population.
Yeah.
And that is why you'll notice in this country that a majority of policies that have been happening for the last 10 years are policies that will ensure no one can be able to farm, no one can be able to afford crop cultivation, no one will be able to afford livestock cultivation, and it will all lead to what we call complete takeover of food and agricultural practices from individuals to the globalist organizations. Let me make it clear. Their main objective is to control food and food production. So the best way to control food and food production is to ensure production of food is in their hands. But these people are so smart and they realize the only way to do it is not by force, but through policies. So what do? We have to create policies in all these different countries that will ensure we are the guys controlling food. And they started with food production. Today, in this country, a majority of the food we eat are GMO food. These GMO seeds are controlled by the same globalists I'm talking about. The biggest companies in the world, Monsanto, Cargill, DuPont, they're the guys who own all these seeds. During Kiunjuri's time in Uhuru Kenyatta's government, they brought in policies that gave those companies power in this country. They brought in policies and they were able to patent their seeds in this country today. Obinna, in Kenya today, it is a crime to share organic seeds with my neighbor. If you're my neighbor and you need seeds to plant, it is a crime for me to give you my seeds, which are not patented. But who are the people who are owning these patented seeds? It's the globalists. So they can decide whether to sell it to you or not to sell it to you. And they'll decide to sell at their own price. GMO seeds are what you call terminator seeds. Once you plant them, you can never replant them.
Sure.
So you have to go back to the supplier and buy from him at his price. Today we are there. How did you reach there? Go and do your research. Check how much a kilo of GMO tomato seeds are. A kilo. The cheapest is 10 million shillings. Go and Google. Best quality is about 70 million shillings. Google. The information is out there. So they are taking us to a direction that will ensure in the next 5-10 years, there is no farmer who can afford to do farming. Look at the games that was played here with fake fertilizer. Can you anticipate the food shortage that will be here by end of the year? Out of 100 farmers who've done farming this year, Oga, how many will be able to plant next year? They will not. Look at the laws that are being put. The other day they proposed another bill to have a bill that anyone who is engaging in agricultural practices must have a certificate or a degree. So what does that mean?
Wow.
You cannot do farming without a certificate. 2 days ago, they introduced another law. It's called the Livestock Bill 2024, which was tabled by Kimani Ichung'wah on Friday. Do you know what that law says? It says it is going to regulate livestock production and livestock input and production in this country. Number one, it will ensure any person is not allowed to process or to produce animal feed without certification from them. So you need a certificate. And it has a fine of 500,000 shillings. You cannot produce your own food and even sell to your neighbor. That is dara, you know, the legume. It will be illegal. Number two, it stipulates it will give regulations to all inputs. Inputs, I'm talking of food, I'm talking of medication, everything. We will have a guideline. And if you use anything other than the input, you feed them what they don't want you to feed them, there is a fine of 1 million shillings or 2-year jail term. Number three, it proposes introduction of new institutions to govern this activity. There's what we call Livestock Marketing Board. There's what we call Livestock and Livestock Product Organization. There's another one called Veterinary Vaccine Organization. All to control this affair.
Kimani Ichung'wah tabled it.
In addition to that, because you will need licenses to do all these activities, It is proposing to create institutes where people need to go, learn, and have certificates. We'll have the Livestock Institute, we'll have the Beef Production Institute, we'll have the Dairy Production Institute, we'll have the Beekeeping Institute, and we'll have the Vaccine Institute. So all those are resources, but all those are pillars to ensure this thing is implemented. So tell me, how many people will be able to do livestock farming? And this livestock farming, it regulates cows, goats, sheep, bees, chicken, pigs, even camels. To whose interest is it? It is part of the agenda.
Kimani Ichung'wah is the one who tabled this.
Yes, he tabled it on Friday.
And he read it.
Now, a few weeks ago, they had brought in another policy to say that all freehold properties, neighboring towns, should now start paying levies. How do you define a town? A town is defined as an area with a population of about more than 2,000 people. Do you know in Kenya, any town is in any market is same as a town because it has 2,000 people and above. So it means basically the entire country, there will be no longer what you call freehold titles. You'll be forced to pay what? Levies. So how many people will be able to pay? It means in the long run, a majority of Kenyans will lose their land. They proposed again to transfer powers from the National Land Commission to the minister. So the minister will decide every 10 years, the minister will decide the levies you're supposed to pay on your property. So it is gearing towards the agenda of land takeover and food production takeover. But it's like the government does not understand where they're being led to. And these policies are not policies implemented here. These are policies given to us by these organizations, globalist organizations. These are policies pushed towards this country by these organizations to their main advantage. And the main advantage is total takeover of food production and land. So once they take over your land, and they're the ones selling you food, because they even have a chart. I want Kenyans to go and see the food chart. They have even estimated what you're supposed to eat by the year 2030. They're saying before 2030, an individual should not eat more than 16 kilos of meat. Before 2030, an individual should not eat more than 90 kilos of dairy product in a year. They're saying before 2030, motor vehicles should be reduced in the sense that only 200 cars must be shared with about 1,000 people. So it's a big agenda and it's heading towards the 2030 agenda. But Kenyans are still sleeping, Oga. Most of these politicians who are implementing and passing these bills do not even read those bills. And you'll agree with me, with the recent finance bill, we saw leaders from Mount Kenya who had voted yes. Some of them were demonstrating with the citizens, saying, why are you imposing taxes on our products? And when you asked them, they said, we did not read. We were coerced to sign. So it is time our politicians need to wake up. Roles of MPs are oversight, legislation, and representation. Those three. So once you take over all that land, because Kenyans are not able to afford farming, Kenyans are not able to plant or keep cattle or own land, what do? You need to relocate them. And that is why the government is building new housing project. Have you ever understood that project? The housing project. It is a project no Kenyan can understand.
We've tried.
You cannot.
Okay, let me pause for a minute. Bro, by the time we're done with this show tonight,
yes,
we are not going to be peaceful mentally. I'm just feeling anger is just boiling inside me, and I'm just like, yo. Like we've just spoken about the Kimani Ichung'wah bill, and I'm like, he tabled it?
Yeah, on Friday.
And the way you've broken it down, and I'm like, he read it? I'm like, you're supposed to represent your people. And if you're a normal human being, you just go like, no, this one. And like we know most of our parliamentarians, shika yako, pitisheni kitu isonge. Tusonge haraka nataka kitu, shika. That's how even most of them did with the finance bill.
Exactly.
They said, yes, because they were being given something. And I'm just thinking, anyway, since we're already here, finish Kumalu.
And the worst thing is that, Oga, these politicians forget that they are also in the menu. You know, they think they're on the table.
Yeah.
They are also in the menu. And in fact, it will be more painful for them because most of them are the ones stealing and buying huge chunks of land. All that land will go. The ultimate goal is to take over the entire land and ownership of property from individuals to big corporations. So politicians should wake up and understand that they are also in the menu. They are not punishing us. They are punishing themselves and their kids and their generations and the generations of this country of ours, Kenya. These implementations that are taking place, can imagine someone like you, you're not even aware. And I want you to go do your research. Kenyans, we are putting our energies in the wrong and focusing on the wrong things. We have a problem, Oga. The new housing project under the New World Order is under an umbrella called the 15-minute cities or the C40 cities. Go read about that. Kenyans should read about the C40 cities. C40 cities come in a very good name. And they are claiming it is a group of leaders in different countries that are coming together to combat climate change. And they're saying to combat climate change, people need to live in segregated areas. And they're saying these are settlements that will be accessible in 15 minutes. High rises. But in reality, those are concentration camps. So that there can be total control of human activities. Under the 15-minute cities, they're insisting and saying, because of climate change, even all motor vehicles should be electric vehicles. But we know even the raw materials to create, to build all batteries for electric vehicles, we don't even have enough deposits.
True.
So they understood if we combat energy, and we combat energy in the name of fossil fuel, and we combat food, we will be able to nab these people called human beings. It's something that is affecting the entire humanity, Obinna. And that is why you hear the government the other day saying that if you own an electric car, you'll be given a special number plate and the parking will be free. You know, when you hear anything is free, you need to understand that something is not right somewhere.
Giving you here, taking it back.
Of course, it is an agenda.
Dangling the carrot.
So what is an agenda? Remember, all electric vehicles have microchips. So they can switch it on and off when they want to. That is the reality. Now they've taken your land, they are controlling the food, even what you're eating. They've put you in these concentration camps. Now how do they manage you? The next thing they'll do is they have to give you what you call the digital ID, so that they can fully control your movement and your activities. And you had the president say very soon we'll launch the digital IDs.
That's why there's been a situation with the IDs.
Yes.
No processing, nini.
Yes. Oga, if you're given a tender to print IDs, itakushinda?
Hell no.
Have you had a country that cannot print IDs or passports?
Kenya.
It is done by design. They are waiting for the launching of the digital world ID, and it's coming. I've told you, if you want to know where leaders are taking you, listen to their words keenly. Many a times the president has said, it is time, we need to free up space in rural areas and move to towns for the sake of farming. It's part of the agenda. You need to leave land and come into towns. And is building you new affordable housing only in towns. If it was meant to uplift the lives of Kenyans, have you seen one housing project in Ushago? No, it's in towns. It's in towns. Now they're telling you a majority of it is under social welfare. And a part of it is for private. They're building on government land. They're asking you to pay for it. And they're asking us to be taxed for building those houses. And yet, they're selling it at the normal market price that other private developers are developing. It's a scam. It's meant for a different purpose and not to uplift your lives. And I think even most of the people in this government do not understand. So why will they insist on the digital ID? The digital ID comes handy with the introduction of the new currency, which should be launched soon, called the central bank digital currencies. Again, you heard one day the president say that for those people who are hiding dollars, you need to sell them because the dollar will be no more. No?
No more.
He didn't say the dollar value will go down. He said the dollar will be no more. Go and listen to that clip. Because he knows the globalists are planning to change the system of currency or the monetary system that we are using today and move to what we call central bank digital currencies. So there will be no physical money again. It will be digital. And the digital currency will be connected to your digital ID for control. So Oga Obinna, if you go against the government, they just switch off your digital currency. You can't transact, you can't buy anything, you can't move from town to town. And worst of it all, even the political process will be through the digital ID. So you'll be waking up in the morning and before you vote, you are told you already voted for someone. These are things that are there. People should go and read. It's happening. Countries like Australia, some parts of Europe, they've started registering the digital IDs and the central bank digital currencies. And it's coming here. It's coming here.
How soon?
So soon. The speed is syllabus inakimbia sana, bro. You see, these are things some of us have been speaking for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 months. But whatever we said, now people can see them coming. And it will only get worse and worse and worse.
And everything you've told me now, the president is privy to this information.
He understands, but he cannot do anything. I told you, he said his hands are tied. What does that mean? That's the reality.
Let me check quickly over here on the comment section. I see how Kenyans, together with myself, we are over here. $. I ask about the new health insurance scheme.
SHIF. SHIF is also part of the agenda. I think in one of my videos I spoke about SHIF. Under the new SHIF idea, it says that they are going to provide an international health insurance for all of us. Between you and me, we know that this government as it is today cannot even provide medicine in hospitals.
Yeah.
But someone is telling you he'll give you an international insurance cover. But the SHIF in itself states that this payment of SHIF will be paid per household. Do you know what that means? It means, number one, they are going to conduct and create a unit that will conduct audit on each and every property in this country. And Nakumicha, in her interview with Jeff Koinange, stated very clearly. And they say they have a special tool to determine how much money you're supposed to pay for the SHIF. It talks of 2.75% of your earning. But for individuals in homesteads, they're saying they're going to evaluate your property and what you own, and they give you a value of what you're supposed to pay. Failure to which, you might end up losing your property. Remember, I told you, the main intention in the New World Order is to ensure the entire assets, motor vehicles, land, food production, is transferred from individuals to big corporations. So this is also part of the agenda, but many people do not see it in that angle. That is where they are heading to.
Huduma namba ilikuwa nini?
Huduma namba was basic data collection. The government has your data today, which is, I don't think is a bad thing. It's also good.
Okay.
Because they're able to know, Huduma number has come in handy in a lot of things, even this issue of combating corruption. No wonder these days you see many corrupt officials, even the monies they hide amongst their family members, the government is able to locate it. It's because the government collected data, which is not bad. But this introduction of this digital ID will be the total shatter.
Okay.
Yes.
Ask about what's being mined at Lake Magadi. Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You have information on that as well?
Yeah. Now, that one goes to part of the solutions on how we can build this country forward. And I said the other day that Kenya is a very wealthy country.
Okay.
And when I talk of wealthy, I'm talking of the mineral wealth of this country. Forget even agriculture. We are also very wealthy agriculture. The entire Africa. We have free sun, we have water, we have arable land.
True.
But above all, Kenya is a very wealthy country. And that's why there is so much interest by the globalists here. As per the geological surveys in Kenya today, we have 970 minerals in this country. 970 minerals. From gold to copper to coltan to lithium to diatomite to chromium to uranium to lead to chromite to name all of them. 970. But the funny thing is that the government of Kenya earns only 1%. Only 1% to the GDP is gotten through mineral extractions. So all our minerals, the government only helps our GDP with only 1%, while we own all these minerals. Why? Number one, we do not want to understand on ways of uplifting the economy of this country. Number two, we have leaders who either are in bed with those globalists and those people who own those pieces of land, or have no interest at all. But a majority of them are part and parcel of the game. Now I'll tell you, the biggest owners of land in this country are not Kenyans. They're the British. After the government, the biggest owners of land are the British. So talk about minerals. How are minerals formed? Minerals are formed due to differences in temperature and pressure in the ground. And these differences in temperature and pressure in the ground are created by various activities that happen in the world. Some of the activities are volcanic activities. Some are hot gases and boiling waters activities. And let's talk about these two. Volcanic activities and heated activities due to boiling waters or gas in the ground. Volcanic activities, we have mountains like Mount Kilimanjaro, we have Mount Longonot, we have Mount Kenya, which are all volcanic mountains, but they are not active. Volcanic mountains, they are either active or inactive. But even the inactive mountains, deep down the crust, there is still lava. The reaction happens. So the more there is temperature on the ground, minerals grow and minerals evolve. So there is creation of minerals, and the creation will be there forever. Inaendelea ikitengenezeka day in, day out. Activities like boiling lakes, boiling waters. We have lakes such as Lake Bogoria, Lake Baringo, Lake Mentaita, and Lake Magadi. And those are lakes that also have salts. And evaporation of salts also create minerals. So ask yourself, where do these people I'm talking about own these pieces of land? Majority of the land owned by these globalists. And mark you, even majority of the British who owned that land before, most of those land have been taken over by the globalists who want to take over this country. Where do they own that land? It is either in Taita Taveta, that is near Mount Kilimanjaro. It is either in Naivasha area, that is Mount Longonot area, or either in Laikipia, Nanyuki, that is near Mount Kenya. What are the other areas? Where do we have these boiling water activities and lakes with salts? It is either in Magadi area. The entire Lake Magadi is owned by the British royal family. Look at areas of Naivasha, Elementaita. The entire area is filled with conservancies. Look at areas of Baringo, very wealthy, a lot of ruby. It has the best, second best quality rubies in the whole world are in Baringo. Talk of Bogoria. The entire area is filled with minerals. Why aren't leaders talking about these things? And the biggest question is, we are not disputing the fact that they have this ownership of the land. But why can't they put these minerals and the mining activities into proper use? Because rumor has it a majority of them are mining secretly. If you go here in Magadi, they are telling you that they are mining sodium bicarbonate, salt. But they have a special railway line from Magadi to Mombasa. Ndugu yangu utabeba chumvi kutoka Magadi mpaka Mombasa by a special container in a special railway line. What are they carrying? And I've told you, minerals are formed due to those activities. And Lake Magadi is one of the areas where those activities are. So I challenge the new CS who is coming in Joho to just go and do a simple test for base metals and precious metals, and he'll be shocked because I know what's there. You'll be shocked. No one is talking about it. Look at the areas of Suguta Valley, Baragoi. We are being told that it's all banditry activities. Ndugu yangu, ng'ombe kweli inaibiwa hivyo kila siku, and the government cannot get the ng'ombe. But the reality, you look at it, it's not just about banditry. It is about displacement. Kama ni banditry, mbona watu wanaendaga wanapigwa wahame? What is there? Rumor has it there is a lot of mining activities in those areas. To an extent, we hear there is so much deposits of uranium and hydrocarbons. No one is talking about it. You see, these are things. Look at an example. Mining of niobium in Mrima Hills. We have deposits of about $200 billion. Our debt is only $80 billion. So with that alone, we can pay the debt and move forward. Why are we not putting it to use? A country like Best Titanium in Kwale invested $300 million, $350 million to put up the plant in Kwale. A year later, they said they made sales of $280 million. They recovered 85% in a year. We are getting nothing. The poor people on the ground are getting nothing. Same area, Taita Taveta. There's a mining company doing manganese. The people on the ground are only paid 1% of the total output. 1%. The local community. The government does not even know how to collect the royalties. I saw the other day in Okolomani area in Kakamega, people are doing massive gold excavation. And they are paying per piece of land 2,000 shillings. Someone is paying you 2,000 and is removing all the gold from there. And we don't have proper structures even to monitor so that the government can earn royalties. And people are just ripping us left, right, center. So I've given you a solution on how to come out of the debt. Solution. We just have to activate one mining activity, like the niobium here. Now look at all these pieces of land where all these activities are. What do they call them? They call them conservancies or national parks.
Yes, by the way.
And the demarcation of national parks began in 1946, 1930s, 90s, up to 1946. And that was after the geological surveys. Go and do your research, my brother.
Why are you not a CS or the president again? Aya. Let me throw a few questions here and there. Number one, that I know every other person is just thinking. The president does not know this solution for the one you just mentioned now. Do you think the president has that information?
I don't think they have a solution.
Okay. Number two, the way you've just, it's like basically you've thrown the government under the bus. You're not afraid to be...
But you see, why should I be afraid, Oga? What I'm saying is, I'm being factual, and whatever I'm saying has evidences. I can point to you each and everything I've said. And I'm not here to say I'm good or that person is bad. I'm here to speak about issues. Okay. Issues. And above all, why should people be scared? You know, even in the Bible, Jesus died at the age of 32. I'm above 32. And again, when Jesus died, he did not even have a bicycle. So it's no, you know, people should understand that it reaches a time where we need to know what is enough.
Okay.
This accumulation of wealth and corruption and stealing all this money just to accumulate cannot act as a fundamental solution even to you.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the poor people will come and feed on you.
That's true.
We really need to wake up as a country and understand that leadership is about thinking on how to make the cake bigger, not sharing the existing cake. We need leaders who can cook a bigger cake. And that leader should be smart enough to understand that when the cake is big, even him atashiba. You and me tutashiba. But look at the political minds we have today. They are all scrambling for that piece of cake, day in, day out.
But it's taking theirs.
And Kenyans seem comfortable.
Oil in Turkana?
Do we have any report from 2016? We are told
Ngamia one.
Tulo oil has been mining oil from 2016. Do we have any report on how many million liters or barrels have been sold? Where did the money go? We don't have those reports.
You mean 1.6 people, 1.6 thousand people, you've decided you're not sleeping, munasikia venye country imepangwa. Alrighty, let me just throw this in there before we come back to wrap it up. We are doing a tour with them on Facebook, coming around to your town, to your county. Go to madfund.com, get your ticket ASAP. www.madfund.com. There's a tour we're starting with Narok, we go to Kisii, we go to Eldoret, we go to Bungoma, we go to Kitale. Every other town we're coming through. Nakuru, we are coming through. Lodwar, we are coming through. Mombasa, we are coming through. Machakos, Mukopale, Meru, Mukopale. And also the Nairobi one is going to be huge. Kisumu, we're also coming through. So get your ticket mapema, pale madfund.com. All right, step number one. Number two, on Saturday, I'm doing men's mental health awareness walk. It has never happened before. In Kenya, it's the first time it's happening, and I'm spearheading it. I need your help. Bring your man, bring your dad, bring your son, bring your brother, your colleague. Bring them. It's open even for women. Why? Because men are hurting. Men have a lot of mental health issues, and nobody's paying attention. Come and walk with us. Come and stand with us for once. And finally, maybe the relevant stakeholders are going to do what is necessary to try and we see a change on that one. We cannot be having 75% of suicides worldwide, globally, being men. It should not happen. We should reduce that number. And you have the chance to help us. So I'll see you on Saturday. It's a free event for everybody. Bring the children, bring the parents, come through. Let's talk and let's walk with men. All right? So I'm going to get to see you there. Hunter, sound is good? So we continue. Kila kitu iko sawa. Alrighty. I'm honored to be hosting one of the genius brains we have in the country. Like I said at the beginning of the interview, there's a couple of things. He's been doing a couple of videos on his pages. And when I bump onto them, I just listen to the whole of it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. Then I said, I have to find him and I have to bring him on the show. Since he came in until now, mini go to where? Where? And apparently we don't have a country. Yeah, from what I'm getting, the president is a puppet, and the country has gone to shit. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Guys, we have minerals. We are not mining. People are mining, but we are not making any money from it. Yes, we have arable land. Nothing is happening. We have politicians who are tabling bills, and you're just looking at them and like, wait a minute. Are you doing this for me, for you, or who are you doing this for? Umetumwa. Yeah, that's a conversation we're having. And I'm seeing a couple of questions that you guys are bringing over here. Asante Nesema, big ups Team Mbogo, you deserve the CS, da. Asante, I've seen that. And also I'm seeing the questions you guys want to ask about the passport. You're asking about LGBTQ. Yo, okay. Artically replace the CS mining. Yeah. Yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible with the help of you guys. Yes, when you do the needful. All right, yeah, ask about the passport. I get it. I'm going to ask. Breathe. Husa. Tafadhali, endelea. Sorry about that. Maswali ni mengi huku. I'll try and read a few.
So about the passport.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you that the idea of delays of the ID and passport is geared towards what we call the world ID or the digital ID.
Yeah.
This digital ID is also a digital passport. It contains all your information, your height, your eyes color, your vaccine status, your central bank digital currency details. So that is what you'll be using to travel with. Because it is a world ID, it goes into the world portal.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. They're asking about Nairobi National Park. Do we own it?
The funny thing is that the title deed to Nairobi National Park is under a company called Royal National Parks. It's not under the government. And you can do your research. Royal National Parks. That is the title to Nairobi National Park.
Wow.
Yes.
Ask him why Ruto is insisting on people going to UAE.
Very good. As I mentioned earlier, the whole idea with the New World Order is to create a total different form of governance, which is perceived to be liberal. So the first thing they are going to do, and they've been doing, is to open up the borders all over the world so that they can break down sovereignties. Remember I told you, the UN was created with an agenda to break down sovereignties of countries into one world government. And this one world government, they're saying it will be divided into 4 areas. There will be the American, where they will combine North America and South America, which will be called United America. Then the entire Europe will be in one block. And then Asia will be in one block. That is India, China, and the rest. Then Africa will also be as one block. But all these 4 under one form of leadership. That is the agenda. So the first thing is you have to break countries. How do you break countries? You open up the borders. And that is why today in Kenya, the government abolished what you call, they said Kenya will be a visa-free country. And just 2 days ago, actually I think yesterday, the PS of Immigration officially launched and approved the cancellation of vetting of ID cards. Cancellation of vetting of ID cards. Remember one thing that is also happening and people are not talking about, one of the conditions IMF gave to the government before releasing funds is that they have to integrate all the refugees in Dadaab camp into the local community. And those are about 1 million people. And they've said, you know, they come in a good name and say, we are going to kill vetting of IDs and integrate marginalized communities. Who is marginalized? Look at the entire Europe today. It's full of immigrants. Look at America today. It's full of immigrants. Yesterday, the president said, you will get your passport and they will pay ticket for you. Why are they in a hurry to export people out? It is part of the agenda. We need to see these things as they are.
Yeah. There's something you are talking about, you didn't get to conclude on it. You said Kenya is part of the trial ground.
Yes.
There's a conversation you're starting on that side and then we deviate to something else.
So in the entire Africa, Kenya has been chosen as the prototype for these implementations. That is why the food and agriculture control is on full gear in Kenya. ID agenda is full gear on Kenya. Climate change agenda is full gear on Kenya. Immigration and open border policies is in full gear in Kenya. Military involvement is full gear in Kenya. So all these implementations, look at ideas like the LGBTQ agenda. Kenya was the first country to be pushed to approve within the area and the region. Countries like Uganda, when Museveni was against it, the IMF and World Bank said they're going to cut funding. So it is blackmail. It is blackmail. Remember, the whole idea of the New World Order is to break the simple unit of a family. And in the New World Order, they are saying even management of the kids and upbringing of kids will be under the government and not individuals or parents. Look at Europe today, and it's coming here. Very soon you will see syllabus in school on syllabus to do with rights to gender and stuff. These are things that are happening. Today in Europe, it is illegal to decide what gender your child will be. The government has taken full possession of your children. And those things are going to be implemented here. We are with you, you will see them.
Haya. Maswali zinaendelea. Kuna wengine wanasema talk about coal in Mumoni Hills. What happened? There's been coal in Mumoni Hills.
Yeah, and majority of the coal in Momoni, in Kitui, in Ukambani area, majority of these big organizations are mining, but in secrecy. We really don't know what quantities they are mining. And there is no proper structure to audit all these mining activities. And it's like the government really does not understand, because I told you, the biggest problem is giving the right jobs to the wrong people.
Wako tu.
Wako tu.
Flower girls.
Yeah, but activities are going on every day.
Because if you have, even just the minerals you've just mentioned alone, I was just like, anyway. What do we know? Okay, another question. Ask about WorldCoin. Tumeingia crypto.
Yeah, WorldCoin was is part of those digital currency companies.
Yeah.
That actually WorldCoin is a company that was banned in many countries in Europe and even in America. Yeah. Because they were involved in so many fraud cases. But more so, it is a private entity. Their interest was business and data collection. You see, it's data mining. Today, the biggest business is data. That's why today, when you enter into any app, they have access to all your information. That is why today, Oga Obinna, when you talk about oranges, in 5 minutes, you go to your Facebook, your Instagram, you see oranges being advertised.
Everywhere.
Because they've mined your data.
Yeah.
So the biggest business today is data.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. And to talk about Trump, Detective Ray. Okay, can taxes sustain our economy without borrowing? We already spoke about that huko nyuma. Tarutu nyuma kidogo check your story of taxes. We spoke about it.
And I'll tell you on taxes, Oga.
Yeah.
I said an economy cannot be built through overtaxing.
Yeah.
An economy is built mostly by what we call VAT. I'll give you an example. If all of us have money in the pocket, this bottle of water costs 100 shillings. If all Kenyans have money, it means in a day, 1 million Kenyans can afford this bottle. True or false?
True.
So if government is making 16% of this from this 100 shillings, it means in a single day, the government will earn 16 million, right? But if we don't have money in our pocket, maybe 1,000 people will be able to buy this water. So that means the government will only earn 16% of 1,000.
Unafikiria wajaona hiyo?
No, they don't know. They don't know. You know, there are things, it's like getting a doctor and telling a doctor to be your driver of the day and drive you like a rally vehicle to Mombasa. He cannot. Because he's specialized in a different field. So you give, it's just a matter of, and it's not me. We have so many good brains in this country. Let's give the right jobs to the right people. Right people.
Hustler Fund.
Has it worked? Did you see the report from the Auditor General? Did you see the report? Did you see the report?
I've not even...
They are saying almost half of that money has disappeared. People have not paid almost 40%. And they don't know how to collect that money.
But there are threats flying around.
Because the reality, the money was not created for you to pay it back. It was politics. You see, Kenyans are not people who need free handouts. We are people of resource. Our biggest resource in this country is human resource. What we need is good governance and good policies. We will make money on our own. We don't need gifts and handouts. No. We don't need these things called CDF and stuff, where you find that all kitties from president to governor to woman rep to senator, all of them have a CDF kitty of almost 60 to 70 billion. Why don't you channel that money into a system where you provide free primary education? Simple. But because the purpose is to calm down politicians, that's why they are given this money. The work of politicians is not to distribute CDF and create dependency in the name of, I am good because I gave you a bursary of 5,000. No. It's supposed to legislate, oversight, and represent, period.
Okay. In conclusion.
Yes.
Remedies. We've spoken about everything that we are going through. So maybe bullet points will help. But now the Kenyans who are watching, they listen. And once they leave this show tonight, there's something you need them to live with. Remedies for where we are. We already are. It's bad as is. So what do we do?
First, it begins with civic education.
Civic education, okay.
You see, today I've given you some information, and I believe everyone who's listening to me, plus you,
Yes.
you're going to do your independent research.
Yes.
And after that, you'll realize that you even found more information than what I gave you.
True.
And if you can be able to pass that information to other Kenyans, you know, it begins with waking up. First is the understanding. You cannot take someone out of a hole if that person does not know he's in a hole. So we need to speak as Kenyans and become bold enough to speak about these things. Because either way, there are people who are planning to exterminate us. So do we just sit and wait? With all these policies I've explained to you, and after you'll do your research, are those policies meant to give you a better life in future?
Hell no.
So why should you sit and wait for it? Yani, we are being told there is a hole there, then you're just keeping quiet. Even if I go in, I better tell the one who's behind me and say, hey, there is a hole. Or if we go in that hole, we have ropes in our pockets to pull ourselves out of it. So it starts with political literacy and civic educations. Kenyans should start reading. As much as we spend a lot of time online on social media, we should take advantage of the third industrial revolution, plus the fourth industrial revolution, which is the revolution of internetive things. One of them being internet communication. Let us read. Everything I'm speaking here is out there. Let people let's start reading. Let's start thinking on a sober platform. Let's put our emotions aside. Let's put our political divides, our religious, our tribal divides. It is about humanity. This is the biggest fight we can ever fight as a country, because we are in a very big war. Forget about these things we are fighting about. You and I, Oga, know that economical problems can be solved. You, one time in your life, there's a time you hit a snag, but you came out of it. All of us, it is normal. You can solve it. But matters to do with our lives and humanity and the future of our country and our people, those are things that once gone, how do we reverse it back? So we have to start speaking about these things now. And when we do these things, let us do it with the love for the country, not for personal gains, not for what you will benefit. For me, it's never been about power or politics or opposition. Last elections, I did not vie. You know very well, if I had vied, I would have won abnormally. But I did not find purpose. We need to get the right people in office. Me, I'm a businessman. It's not a must and I don't need. But I'm one person who's always ready for service for this country. And I know if we have rightful leadership, even me, I'll be smiling to the bank and to the sherees and everywhere. You get it?
Yeah.
So let us speak. There is nothing to fear about anymore because the agenda is clear. It is to finish you. So Kenyans, if you've decided to sleep, tumalizwe ni sawa. Mimi nitaongea mpaka the day my days are done.
Okay.
It is so frustrating, eh?
Yeah.
It is so frustrating, but as I said earlier, the good thing with Kenyans is God gives us that grace to come out of any situation we are in.
Okay.
And I know we'll come out of this one. We will come out. Kenyans are waking up slowly. Yeah. I'm glad during the Maandamano, Gen Zs are saying, IMF, don't fuck us up, because they understood the problem begins with these people. So we are heading somewhere.
Yeah.
So whatever is happening, Kenyans should understand that it is also good, because political literacy is sinking in. Today, out of 10 Kenyans out here, 7 to 8 will speak sense to you. They will not say about tribe.
That's true.
They will not talk about political. So Kenyans should understand that before light comes darkness. So we are in darkness, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
It's coming.
Tuongeeni wa Kenya.
All righty.
And people with the opportunities like you, invite people to speak more about these things.
True.
And those who cannot have the opportunity to come to a show like this, all of us at home are in at least 2-3 WhatsApp groups. Speak in those groups. Eneza Injili. Take your phone, do a video. I'm glad Kenyans have started understanding this third industrial revolution. Do a video, speak about it, whether you're right or wrong. If you're wrong, you'll be corrected. If you're right, another person has learned. True. And that is life. So it is not about personal problems. This is a problem of humanity. It is a problem for all of us. And those politicians who are listening to me, they are also in the menu. They are not on the table with the globalists. No. They are in the menu.
They're just waiting for their time.
Exactly.
It's going to get all of us.
Exactly. As I say, they will use you, misuse you, and later on abuse you.
What a way to end it. Mwenye macho ambiwi tazama, na macho haina pazia. Wanasema 2027, they're waiting to see you on the ballot. Kuna wengine hapo wanasema governor, kuna wale wanasema CS,
no, I think you should vie, then I'll support you spiritually, socially, economically.
Mimi?
Yeah, you can make a good leader. I've been watching you for a long time. You see, for you to have that following you have, it's not by chance. You're saying I know a lot of things, but I don't have a following like yours. Are you getting it?
I don't have money like yours.
No. But I'm trying to tell you,
yeah.
You have a big following, and people don't follow people who have nothing. So there's something in you. So we need such brains in leadership. It is not a must for it to be Mbogo. I love this relaxed kind of life, man.
Mimi ndo niingie kwa pressure.
If shit hits the fan, then we will go in there and help the country. But it's not about me. It's not about individuals. We need the right brains. The right people. People who have Kenya at heart. They say if you don't teach heritage to your young generation, be guaranteed that they will sell the inheritance. So you as a father, if you don't teach your kids heritage, you see that Range Rover out there? When you sleep, that will be the first thing they will sell, because they don't understand the importance of it. So even in this country, we have to start teaching heritage. Yeah. We don't have any other place to go, brother. There's no any other country that can give us a piece of their country. In fact, we are the best ones who allow people in. Our neighbors, most of them don't want us in their territory. Then we want to mess this beautiful country. No. We have to sober up as a country.
Preach, brother. Today, ule mwenye ametoka hapa na hajajifunza kitu na macho haijajifungua. You know, when we started, I said there's a lot we don't know that we don't know. Then ikisha, there's a lot now you know that you did not know. What you do with that information. Kama umetoka hapa na bado wewe ni duanzi tu, haujashare hii video kwa mtu kwambia, hey yo bro, jana nimeona hii live, nani amesema hivi, na hebu check hii, angalia minute this, sikiza hii. Wewe sasa usaidii country. Yeah. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank
you for being very vocal about it. I've seen you do it since, and I see you still doing it. Are you still supporting Wanjigi?
As I said earlier, for me, I'll always put an energy to someone who has the country at heart and understands how to take this country forward. Okay. Whether it's you, whether it's him, whether it's another person, as long as someone can do it even better than some of us, we will be for that person.
Okay.
Yes.
Last fire. The positions that have been there for the CSS, is there any that you recommend? Unasema huyu yenyewe huyu anakaa kufanya kazi. Those doctors that have been put there, the new CSS.
You see, for me, in job description, it begins with expertise.
Okay.
Expertise. So if you take a farmer and you give him the Ministry of Energy, how will he handle it? It's about expertise and know-how and understanding.
Okay.
You give the right jobs to the right people. But what we do, we don't follow the law of meritocracy. We reward in relation to our political rewards or tribal or regional or religion.
Okay.
So I really don't see expertise, but let's wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah, we never know.
All righty. Yeah. There you have it. Mheshimiwa Steve Mbogo in the house. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying with us this long. 1.6 thousand people still watching the live. Asanteni sana. We are forever grateful. We've had a couple of episodes that we also recorded. They'll air out throughout the week. And we might be having some interesting guests later on the week. Yeah, we might just do an exclusive later on the week. You'll check it out. Stay tuned for that one. Thank you very much. Spread the word. Comment, like, and subscribe. Asante sana. God bless you.
Asante, brother.
Good night. I'll see you guys next time. Mishap.